Murdered is a subject I'm all too familiar with. But the art world, that's another story. Cubist, Impressionist, abstract. I wouldn't know a fresco from a fresca. But I know what I like when I see it. And Velda likes seeing an artist named Brandon Fortes, whose show was opening at the Borkman Gallery.
I feel a little underdressed. I haven't seen this much black since the Empire Strike.
Can't you at least pretend you're having a good time?
I think I need a drink.
This is a big night for Brandon.
Yeah, well, he better be serious about you.
3 beers. Give a drink up, it'll make the artwork look better.
No beer?
Maybe at Lou's, they only serve wine here. So, Velda, where's the man of the hour?
I don't know. He should have been here.
Let's mingle.
Curtis!
Hello, Gustav.
I can guess why you're here.
Brandon's a lifesaver freak.
That's not Brandon's work. Brandon is a painter. Didn't you guys get a catalog?
No.
Here's some of his work.
And there's a piece of work.
You know any of these people?
Some of them. That's Serge Borkman. He's the owner of the art gallery. And that one? That's the art critic, Gustav Granville Dawes.
Any relation to Haagen-Dazs? Who's that?
Oh, that is Ronald Wilk. He's one of New York's biggest collectors. He owns a lot of Brandon's work.
He must like blue.
Velda!
Curtis!
Gorgeous. Got her number.
Oh? 555-1212. She's got your number, pal. That's information. Let's find Velda.
Damn.
Curtis, I'm worried.
I know. Brandon should have been here half an hour ago. This is his night.
Well, maybe he got caught in traffic.
Who's this?
My boss, Mike Hammer, and this is Nick Farrow.
Curtis Mayhew. I'm Brandon's assistant.
He needs help with this?
Mike, I'm worried. He should have been here by now.
Is he usually late?
No, he's never late. Something's wrong.
I'm gonna go to his studio. Brandon?
Brandon, you in there?
Mike, I got a really bad feeling.
Let's stay with it.
While Brandon's art show opened at the Borkman, Brandon's life closed on the floor of his studio in Soho.
You don't want to see this, Val.
Velda's heart was broken, and I was on the trail of a killer, a master in the art of murder. The sudden violent death of a loved one can be numbing. From the stricken look on Velda's face, I knew she was hurting bad. I also knew that I'd do anything I could to ease her pain and catch Brandon's killer.
How's she holding up? Not bad, considering. You got a time?
Emmy puts it about 4 o'clock. No forced entry. We're dusting the place. I'm already found a pair of gloves in the hallway.
Let me hear it again.
I told you. I went home, took a shower, then I went back to the gallery for the opening.
You have witnesses?
You stupid. There were 100 people in the room.
Look, you said you're innocent, okay? What's your problem? I want to get this straight.
You know, Mike, I'm gonna have to talk to Velda. You wanna let me know when she's ready?
Yeah.
You get this crap? Looks like the stuff my kid used to bring home we put on the refrigerator.
I don't know. I checked out after Jasper Johns.
Pitcher for the Yankees?
No, Skip, that was Tommy John.
Oh, yeah.
How you doing?
Mike, you're gonna catch the guy that did this, right?
You have my word. Listen, you know anybody that would want to see Brandon dead? Any rivals, any enemies? Come on, let's go home.
When a woman weeps like this doll, it can only mean one of two things. Either she hates the new hairdo or her lover's been murdered.
Oh, Brandon.
But Velda was Brandon's lover.
Make sure her phone number doesn't start with 555.
You're okay. All right.
Velda needed some time alone, so I dropped her off at her place. And after another night ruined by murder, I needed a cold one. But Nick already had a cold one waiting for me.
I see you found a dry shoulder to cry on.
Mike, this is Narcissa, my boss, my camera.
Yeah, I saw you at the gallery.
You mind if I join you?
Actually, you ever hear Three's a Crowd?
Ever hear of unemployment?
Okay. Nice meeting you. See you in the morning.
Are you feeling better?
I still can't believe that Brandon's dead. I know that it's an overused word, but he really was a genius.
How well did you know him?
We were lovers.
How long?
He broke it off in April. Brandon felt that he needed to see other women.
Let's talk about those other women. You got any names?
He mentioned someone once named Helga or Velma or...
Velda?
Yeah, that sounds right. I don't know. I mean, I never met her. Poor, brilliant Brandon. He was a master of the color blue, you know?
Maybe he was just colorblind.
No, seriously. In his own way, he was like Picasso.
Yeah, they're both dead.
You're not making this very easy.
All right, let's talk about you. Narcissa. That is a very unusual name.
Mike Hammer. That's not very common either.
You should meet my brother Jack. Or my sister Balpina. All right, that's better. Look, I know this has been a shock for you, but I've got to ask you some questions.
What can I do?
How did you know that Brandon was dead?
I was just on my way to the opening, and I saw all the cop cars. Oh, my God. I wonder if Serge knows.
Who's Serge?
Serge Borkman. He owns the gallery.
Did he and Brandon get along?
He thought that Brandon was one of the art world's brightest stars. Everybody did.
Well, someone wasn't too crazy about it.
I can see why your associate looks up to you the way he does.
Nick? He's young. He'll get over it.
I prefer older.
I prefer experienced.
You're quick.
Depends on who I'm with.
Who was that woman that you were with at Brandon's studio? The one you took home?
Friend? I've got a friend.
It's pretty late. Should probably just grab a cab and get home.
Where can I reach her?
I gave Nick my phone number.
Really?
It's a regular Rolodex. You know, you remind me of an abstract painting.
Is it my solemn grace and beauty?
No. Because I can't make heads or tails out of you.
Good night.
Right. The mysterious redhead sped away in a yellow cab, and I went home with a head full of dark dreams. If Brandon was cheating on Velda, how many other women had he chosen? Great art plays on human emotions. So do gigolos. The next morning, I went back to the Borkman Gallery to find out Brandon's true colors.
Borkman Gallery? Hello, Mr. Seligman. Yes. Awful. Oh, we were just devastated. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I know Serge will be glad you called. Mr. Hammer, please. The oil from your fingertips will put a stain on it. This is a priceless Montoya sculpture, one of 7 ever made.
Sorry, I thought it was a dipstick for a Sherman tank.
Oh, we're all stunned, Ronald.
What about the show? Will you close the exhibit?
Oh, of course not. Excuse me, sir. I'm sorry, but we're not open to the public today.
Well, I'm not public, I'm private. And you are?
I'm Serge Borkman. I own this gallery. So you're a PI?
Yeah, my name is Mike Hammer. I'm looking into Brandon's death.
Glad to hear it. It was an awful loss.
This is Ronald Wilk, one of Brandon's most dedicated collectors.
Oh, I hope you nail the son of a bitch who did it.
That's the plan, Mr. Wilk.
Call you tomorrow, Serge.
He still wants Ascension 3.
Okay. Art Week called. They need a statement. Also, the Times.
Do you have to?
Oh, no, I've got a whole pack. Tell me, Sergio, how long did you represent Brandon?
For 12 years. And it's not Sergio, it's Serge.
Oh, I'm sorry, Serge. Where were you yesterday at 4 o'clock?
Setting up for Brandon's opening.
Is that true?
Don't answer that, Tanya. Mr. Hammer, this is a very difficult time. If you don't leave, I shall be forced to call security.
Now that Brandon's dead, these paintings could triple in value.
That was tacky. As tacky as your filthy smoking habit.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll put it out.
Rolf!
An art gallery with a bouncer? That's like a church with a 2-drink minimum.
Pick that up.
Rolf, I used to have a dog that said that.
I don't like you.
Oh, what a shame. I thought we could catch a movie together.
People have been fighting over the meaning of art since Og the Caveman sketched his first pterodactyl. But this Neanderthal was only interested in 2 colors, black and blue, with my face as his canvas.
Oh, no!
I do know this. A great work of art hits you right in the gut.
Well, it's not only beautiful, but it's practical. Except for hand-to-hand combat, I prefer Remington. Better grip, you know? Rope!
With Brandon dead, I knew it was tough for Velda to put her grief on hold. But this was no time to lie down on the job.
This is some write-up. I didn't know it was going to be the subject of a retrospective at the Vanderhue Museum.
He didn't want anyone to know. He seemed almost shy about it.
Let me see that. Interesting. Ronald Wilk is on the board at the Vanderhue.
Oh, yeah, he's one of Brandon's biggest collectors.
I think I better talk to him.
The art critic Granville Dawes is in here saying the work has latent emotional resonance.
Don't look at me.
Well, apparently he was one of Brandon's first collectors. I guess they had a falling out, though.
Velda, you up for some footwork?
You know it.
Go see Granville Dawes. Find out what else he knows about Brandon's ups and downs. And Nick, I want you to check out his current career and see what else you can dig up.
Okay.
Thanks, Mike, for everything.
You got it, kid.
Hi, Maya.
Hi, Velda. Nice to see you. Oh, Mike, I need to talk to you. I need your help.
What is it, Maya?
Oh, God, I just lost the key, I guess, you know, on the subway or someplace else. I cannot get into my studio.
Okay, maybe I have something here. Oh, yeah. Here we go. One of these will do the trick, I'm sure.
I hope so.
It's never failed in the past.
Well, I believe it when I see it.
It doesn't work.
Oh, come on, I'm gonna miss the support.
Okay, just, you gotta be patient. This takes a little time. Oh, what's going on?
Well?
Well, I don't know. None of these seem to work.
That worked. Thank you anyway.
Meanwhile, Velda was reviewing the art critic Gustav Granville Dawes.
Thank you for seeing me at such short notice.
Well, we do what we can to accommodate the fates. Poor Brandon. He deserved better than that.
I know you two were close once. You wrote such nice things about him.
When we met, he was showing at this tiny space on the Lower East Side. Now, what was it called?
What happened?
There comes a time when an artist hits it big that he no longer needs his old, poor friends. He outgrows them. And they begin to embarrass him.
Are you saying that Brandon dropped your friendship once he became famous?
Well, not openly, of course. But suddenly he was making millions of dollars and partying with the mucky mucks in the Hamptons. In doing so, he just forgot to return my phone calls.
That doesn't sound like Brandon.
How well did you know him? You excuse me.
The gallery of suspects grew larger the longer Velda talked with Gustav. When Gustav left the room, Velda discovered he was about to leave the country. A plane ticket to Paris, purchased the night of the murder. And now Brandon's assistant, Curtis, entered the picture.
I told you not to come here.
I wouldn't have if you just let things be.
Look, this isn't the time to talk.
Then when is the time, Gustav?
Curtis, what are you doing?
It's all right. Curtis is just leaving.
Maybe I better go also.
Oh, don't be silly. Now, where were we? Oh, yes, I remember. I was just explaining how I discovered Brandon.
While Velda gabbed with Gus, I went for a chat with Ronald Wilkes, a patron of the arts who turned Brandon's career around. Now I hoped he could put a fresh spin on Brandon's murder.
Mr. Hammer.
Wilk.
Sorry to keep you. Cigar?
Oh, sure, thanks.
My secretary said you had some questions about Brandon's death.
I do. How well did you know him?
My wife and I have been fans of his work for over a decade. We were terribly crushed by his death.
How many of his works do you own?
16. I bought one of his final paintings just last week.
That's a lot of art.
We're serious collectors. Besides, his work changed. It became so sensual, so focused.
I understand you're also on the board at the Vanderhue Museum.
Yes, in fact, I helped organize his current show at the Borkman. The tragedy won't be there to enjoy it.
No, he won't be able to enjoy his profits either. But you'll be able to enjoy your paintings now that they've doubled in value.
I don't appreciate the implication of that comment, Mr. Hammer. I don't buy art for investment. I have all the money I need. I buy it because I love it.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend you.
Yes? It's here? That's wonderful. Thank you. Excuse me.
Wilkes seemed like a straight shooter. I believed him when he said he collected Brandon's paintings out of love, not for profit. In fact, I felt bad I'd given him the needle, but there was a point I was missing. And as long as Wilkes was missing from the room, I checked his appointment book and found a familiar name. The critic, Gustav Granville Dawes.
Can't find a date?
No, I was just,
Looking?
admiring.
Well, keep looking. My phone number's in there.
Really? I'll make a note.
Later that night, I met Velda at Lou's. She had detected that I hadn't told her everything I knew about Brandon. Smart girl, Velda. I had news that was about to make her a sad girl.
He was seeing someone else, wasn't he? I knew it. The woman at the studio.
Listen, Val, they were exes. It doesn't mean anything.
She thought it did.
Listen, you gotta stop doing this to yourself. I know how much Brandon meant to you, and I think he knew that. I think he knew how lucky he was to have you.
You really think so?
I know so. Hey, I know how lucky I am to have you. Come on. We got a case to solve.
With a plane ticket to Paris and his name all over Ronald Wilkes' appointment book, we went to have a word with Gustav.
Mr. Granville Dawes?
Gus?
But Gustav had already eaten his words.
Looks like Gus's goose got cooked.
Gustav's final reviews were in, but the jury was still out on Curtis.
What do you think?
Well, it's not really my style, but it does have a certain latent emotional resonance.
You've been reading up. I suppose you think I killed him, too.
The cops do.
Cops don't know jack. Not about me, not about Brandon, not about art.
How long did you work with Brandon and share this studio?
It's been 9 years this March.
9 years, it's a long time. Were you close to him?
He was my hero.
Did you clean his brushes?
What?
What exactly did you do for him?
I helped him make his work.
Slave labor, huh?
Not quite. It's pretty standard in the art world. Brandon designs the paintings, and I help him technically to bring them to life.
But he gets the credit.
Of course.
That make you jealous?
Are you kidding? It was an honor.
What are you doing now?
A little atmosphere. We all have our own tricks in our toolbox.
Tell me about Gustav Granville Dawes. How does he fit into your little bag of tricks?
What does he have to do with this?
All right, let me lay it out for you paint by numbers style. You worked so closely with Brandon, you learned all his tricks. In fact, you learned his style. But while he's getting rich, you're going nowhere. So you decide to do a little forgery on the side and maybe sell them yourself or maybe through Raw.
What are you saying?
And old Gus finds out about this, realizes it's not Brandon's work, tells Brandon. Brandon gets very upset and threatens to fire you. So you kill him.
Get out. Get out of my studio.
What's the matter, Dutch boy? I touch a nerve?
I said get out.
I'm gone. By the way, you missed a flick.
Curtis brushed me off, so Velda and I dropped by the gallery to lay a second coat on Borkman.
Thanks for keeping me in the loop.
Glad you could make it. Hey, Tanya. Sergio around?
Do I dare ask whether you have an appointment?
Does this mean the honeymoon is over?
Let's just say the bloom is off the rose.
Now, you see, that's what we need around our office, a little attitude.
Mm-hmm.
I'm devastated, but I'll get over it. I'll announce myself.
Not you again, Mr. Hammer.
Hey, Sergio, I got a few questions for you.
I didn't think you were here for the art.
Actually, I dropped by to congratulate you. First of all, on the nice drape you're wearing. Second, on your upcoming appointment as the curatorial advisor at the Vanderhue Museum.
Well, how did you learn that? The press release doesn't go out till next week.
You can thank my associate.
The press secretary at the museum was a bit more friendly than your, receptionist.
Yes, well, Ronald Wilk arranged it.
Oh, why am I not surprised?
He's one of my most steady clients. He appreciates my expertise.
What about Granville Dawes? How does he fit into your little scheme?
If you're implying that Mr. Dawes was somehow standing in the way of my appointment, I can assure you you're wrong.
You! It was you, wasn't it? I don't even know who you are.
You're Velma. You're the Barbie doll that Brandon left me for.
It's Velda, sweetheart. And Brandon didn't leave you. He ran from you.
Calm down! You get yours, I'll get mine.
Psycho! You culture whore!
Wait, just... Hey, wait, ladies, calm down.
I suppose you slept with them too, huh, you little slut?
So what if I did, you neurotic bitch?
Round two.
Go to your corner.
I had 3 brothers. I could handle it. That woman has some severe emotional problems.
Well, obviously, you're one of them.
What is wrong with me, Mike? What was I thinking?
Velda, it is not what it seems.
I cannot believe how stupid I was. I mean, he's dangled his love of art over me like this big old fishing lure, and I just fell for the bait.
Vel. Brandon did not even know you when he was seeing Narcissa. He didn't even know you when he was seeing Tanya, the receptionist. Now, come on. You're not being fair to yourself, and you're not being fair to Brandon. If this guy was anything like you said he was, and I'm sure he was, you meant something to him. He really cared about you, and you've got to realize that.
You're right. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's just going to take some time, that's all. And by the way, nice flip. Come on. Let me buy you dinner.
Thanks, but, I think I need to be alone for a while.
That was my fault, wasn't it?
No. It was Brandon's fault.
I don't know. I lose my head sometimes. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Let me make it up to you.
Let me buy you dinner.
No. You actually whacked Rolf with the Montoya?
Yeah, I gave him an heart attack.
It's too funny. Oh, wow. Ooh, it's violent, yet restrained. And it implicates the viewer with this damned acuity. What is it? Some postmodern reworking of Duchamp's Bride?
Actually, they're bullet holes. I had a little trouble cleaning my gun.
If you need some plaster.
Yeah. Speaking of plaster, you want a drink?
Sure. Thanks. To Brandon.
To Brandon.
He was my teacher, you know. All of his students loved him. Well, not carnally.
Are you sure about that?
Ooh. It was a big secret. Her name was Serena. Serena Wilk.
Ronald Wilk's daughter.
Yeah. Why are we talking about Brandon's sex life?
You got somebody else in mind?
Well, we'd be a good place to start.
I thought you were grieving.
Some people handle their grief in different ways.
Well, you're different, all right.
Are you afraid of me, Mike?
Should I be?
I don't know. Maybe this'll put you at ease.
Narcissus was a mythical figure who fell in love with his own reflection. I was about to fall in bed with Narcissa, who had a mythical figure of her own.
It's a little warm in here.
Let's break the thermostat.
Thank God I didn't go with the clip-on. The next morning, I was up early, hopeful today would be the day I'd nail Brandon's killer. I like to start the day with a cup of joe and a smoke, and apparently Narcissa starts hers with a morning run. I might have lit her fire last night, but today I needed a match. I had to find the connection, the link that tied Brandon's death to my portfolio of suspects. Curtis, Brandon's longtime assistant, the late art critic Gustav Granville Dawes, art patron Ronald Wilkes. And then there was Narcissa herself. I had to dig deeper, leave no stone unturned. And as I rummaged through the evidence in my head, I remembered a name Narcissa brought up last night, Serena Wilkes, Ronald's daughter and another of Brandon's lovers. The light went on.
For the next month, we're forecasting 5.8% rise, which means an increase in net profits of over 2%.
We need to talk, Ron.
What the?
About your daughter, Serena.
Excuse us, we'll continue this later.
Brandon was sleeping with your daughter, wasn't he?
Subtle, aren't you, Mr. Hammer? I held a dinner party for him at my home in Connecticut. He met her there, and
things led to things.
19 years old, an impressionable young woman, and he was a suave, accomplished painter, ladies' man.
Who you supported for 10 years until you killed him.
No. Of course not. I told him I'd sponsor a show at the Vanderhue on the condition he'd break it off.
Wait, are you telling me that Brandon is not the saint that he's painted to be?
No. He jumped at the chance. Cared nothing for my daughter. No one was supposed to know.
No one will know. I understand what it means to protect somebody that you love.
You know, the irony is, I would have proposed the show anyway. I loved his work. I still do. That's his latest. It arrived yesterday.
John Hancock etched his name into the pages of history with a distinctive signature. Brandon Fortis's signature was as unique as a snowflake. I went back to the gallery to bust a fake flake, Serge Borkman.
Hello, Tanya.
Mr. Hammer.
Where's Sergio?
Please don't make any more trouble for me.
No trouble. Why don't we kiss and make up, huh?
I'd love to, but I'm worried about my job.
Well, don't worry, sweetheart. After today, your boss is going to be making license plates.
Really?
That wasn't very nice of you the other day. Made me look bad.
I'm sorry, Rolf. Why don't you put yourself in a box and ship yourself out of here?
Overnight or next day?
How about express?
Look what you did to my lip.
It looks fat. Now hear this.
Rolf hit the canvas. He was ready for framing, waiting to be hung in the Rogues Gallery. But the guy I wanted to see on exhibit was his boss.
So, Mr. Hammer, come back to buy some art, have you?
Not really. I came here to nail a killer.
Is that so? You must introduce me to him.
Take a look in the mirror, pal. You killed Brandon Fortis.
Whatever gave you that idea?
Nothing monumental. Just a little dab of color on one of Roland Wilkes' new paintings.
Brandon was my top-selling artist. Why on earth would I kill the goose that laid the golden egg?
Because Brandon Fortis didn't lay those eggs. Curtis did.
You mean his assistant? Oh, that is rich, Mr. Hammer.
Not as rich as you got selling his work under Brandon's name.
You have a very vivid imagination.
Not really. I saw Curtis painting. Of course, he made sure that his own work looked very different, but he dabs his paint in a very precise way. And that style is all over Brandon's paintings, especially the way he dots his I over his signature. You deliberately killed Brandon the night of the opening so everybody would see you, so you'd have an alibi. But at some point, you stepped out. You had a key to Brandon's studio. And you knew that Brandon liked to play music, and he liked to play it loud, so you could slip in without him hearing you. You took Curtis's painting knife, and you killed him. But somebody else knew that Brandon's new work was too good to be true. Somebody who had known his work intimately for 20 years. My guess is that Granville Dawes planned to write an expose, but when Brandon was murdered, he no longer wanted revenge. He wanted hush money. He even set up a meeting with Wilk to show that he meant business. He got his payoff, all right. Just wasn't quite what he expected.
Very clever, Mr. Hammer. Now, place your weapon on the floor, slowly. Thank you. Tanya, tie Mr. Hammer's wrists.
What? For $10 an hour, you want me to get involved in murder? I don't think so.
Oh, very well. Then you shall join him. Get over here.
I knew I should have taken the job at the Guggenheim.
Now, I've got a couple of crates waiting out the back. I think we can excuse Rolf from this shipment. Move it.
I was painted into a corner, but I wasn't ready to throw in the towel. Serge had spent his life selling other people's genius. Now he'd spend life in prison for murder. The Borkman of Alcatraz.
Look at that, my very own hardware store.
And here I have an extra key. Just in case, you know. I don't want to have any more bullet holes in my door.
I understand.
Oh, have to check for my messages later.
Your what?
You know I don't have a phone. Have to run. Namaste.
Mike, what do you say we pitch in and buy her a phone?
It's a good idea. What do you got?
You know, these paintings aren't half bad. They're totally bad.
Sounds like you have a future as an art critic.
What, and give up being shot at? Hey, how was lunch?
Lovely. You know, once you get past your neuroses, Narcissa's not a bad girl.
You had lunch with Narcissa?
Yeah. She's very uninhibited.
Really?
Anyway, it was nice to sit and talk about Brandon with somebody else who really cared for him. You know, I think I'm finally beginning to get over him.
Good.
Curtis.
I brought you something. I think he would have wanted you to have it. It's one of the last paintings he actually did. He really cared about you, you know. He told me.
Thank you. I love it. You know, I think I know just the place for it.
Wait. Let me have that. I think I know the perfect place for this.
Brandon Fortas was a fraud, a human forgery whose real talents were displayed in the bedroom. But who am I to say? One man's trash is another man's treasure. I deal in a world where only two colors come into play, black and white, good and evil. But then when you blend those two colors, you also get a million shades of gray.